This is President Trump announcing what he wants to do with the Department of Education. Now, before we play this clip real quick, again, everyone's talking about the picks. This is the agenda, and this is why the left is going nuts over the picks, because they know that these people that Trump is putting up for these appointments are going to fulfill, or at least do their damnedest to fulfill, these proposals. Video clip number 1, por favor, Mr. McConnell.
And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I literally had somebody message me and ask me, why am I in favor of Trump ruining education for poor kids? You imbecile. That's the complete opposite. Now, that wasn't Barack Obama you saw that ruined the D.C. voucher program right, for the young black students in Washington, D.C. That was President Trump saying that the 14% of monies that these state schools, these states get for education, where the federal government literally goes in and because they give you a little bit of money, they try to control what you say, what you do, what you think. I do believe there should be standardized testing. Obviously, when a person gets into college, even high school, you want to know where they stand. But I believe that could be done at the state level. Now, once you get to college, should there be a federal entry exam? Sure, I'm okay with that as long as it's not woke, as long as it's not Common Core type stuff. Every state should be able to be the laboratory that they want when it comes to education. There should be school choice so that in the event that a child is going to a school that is absolutely abysmal, that child that wants to do better for himself or herself can go to another school, or that child's parents can take them to another school. This takes the power away from the teachers' unions, who all they seem to be doing is trying to brainwash your kids to be Democrat voters rather than smart, critical thinkers and Americans. Send the money back to the state. I absolutely love this. So this is what the left is concerned about. The picks, obviously they're going to go haywall over the picks because they want you to be distracted about the picks. And it's cool to talk about the picks. I've already done some of it today myself, but I'm not going to get all caught up into the picks because, frankly, I can go from I can listen to any conservative today and we're going to talk about the picks. But the picks are just a symptom of the greater disease. This is a good disease. This is called freedom, because what President Trump is trying to do is restore power to the people. And I love this. This guy is swinging big. I think that I'm going to, I got to admit, I was not a Trump supporter back in 2016. I was Ted Cruz all day long because I thought he would be the next Reagan. Trump got in and he started deregulating. I know that's not sexy, but when it comes to deregulation, that's my favorite thing. That's how I know somebody is serious about restoring power to the people, when they want to deregulate. When they want to take power away from the federal government and hand it back to the people. For people that say that, oh, Trump is a dictator, Trump is a tyrant, Trump is an authoritarian, to the man that I love, a good man, who said, well, now you elected a king. Nah, man. I'm sorry. Kings don't cut taxes. Kings don't deregulate. That's not what they do. They try to take away from you instead of give back to you. And what President Trump is going to do in this second administration is an attempt to give freedom back to we the people. Man, I am so excited. I don't want to stop. Guys, I can't lie to you. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm already ready for 2026 because I don't want this to stop. I don't want my daughter to inherit a world that's better than the one that I lived in, an America that's better. And we're going to try to make sure that it happens. So I'm thankful for President Trump. I'm thankful for the staff that he's picking. I'm thankful that we have the House and the Senate. We've been talking about President Trump's picks, but from a different perspective. We've been talking about President Trump's picks simply because they are the symptom rather than the disease. This is why the left is freaking out. The left is freaking out because for the first time, what we're seeing, or at least what I'm seeing in my life, first time in my lifetime, when it comes to a presidential candidate, or at least since I've been involved in politics, we're seeing President Trump truly pick some people that are more establishment, but also people that are outsiders to get the job done that he needs to get done. And I think it's absolutely, refreshing. It's one of the reasons why I love my favorite pick, just to be blunt, has been Pete Hegseth so far. I love Doug Burgum. And I think Hugh Hewitt was right. I mean, it was a great pick for Department of Interior. But I got to tell you, the Pete Hegseth pick, for me, that was just like, man, I've not served in the military, but I just consider what our veterans go through. And it's just amazing to me. You get a man that's very smart, has thought about these issues, has written books on these issues. The left is trying to frame him as just a weekend Fox News correspondent or reporter or whatever. He's so much more. The guy has 2 Bronze Stars. I mean, he's been overseas a few times fighting for America's freedom. So the guy, I think it's a smart play. Frankly, I was hoping for a Stuart Scheller type, for those of you that are familiar with Stuart Scheller, that called out some of the generals under the Biden administration after the Afghanistan withdrawal, and he was reprimanded for that. So I was like, man, Stuart Scheller should be the Secretary of Defense. This, to me, is just as good. It's what I wanted. We needed somebody. I have family members that are in the military and have served, and they've expressed the same things that some of these veterans have expressed, that a lot of these the brass in the military, they're in it for a career. They're in it, and again, this is from people that have experience. This isn't coming from me myself, okay? But a lot of these top brass are in the military just to keep climbing the rank, and so you want a guy like Pete Hegseth that is going to go in and understands we're not going to deal with this woke crap anymore. We're not going to deal with women in combat zones. We're not going to deal with all the DEI and the CRT. We're going to revamp the military, where our military is absolutely lethal and deadly, and they exist, once again, frankly, to kill our enemies and to break stuff and do a very good job and efficient job of doing just that. And that way, Lord willing, we won't have to go to wars, or if we do have to go to war or get into a skirmish for the interest of America, we do it. We're able to complete the mission. We're able to complete the mission swiftly as possible, and make the mission so devastating that our adversaries never want to mess with us again. You consider the China threat. This is why people like Marco Rubio are so important. You consider Iran. You consider Russia. This is what makes Marco Rubio's pick so important. The more I thought about Marco Rubio, and I got to be honest with you, I wasn't the biggest fan. He's my own senator. But the more I think about this pick for Secretary of State, I'm like, for President Trump's tenure in his second term, it's a great pick. It's a great pick. And that's what the left is concerned about, because you're going to see efficiency now. Now, if we could just get the media, to tell the truth.
For the full episode of the Dennis Prager Show, go to pragertopia.com, sign up, and become a full member.